What is up? It is Friday, it is the late night agenda, and your weekend has officially started. So, my friends, let me know your plans. What are you guys up to for the weekend? Obviously, the Reds game Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. kickoff. So, we will be live on here from 1 o'clock. Loads to get through tonight. We will, of course, be discussing the title of tonight's stream, Jeremie Frimpong. We'll be talking a little bit about a new deal for a Liverpool player and a few other bits and pieces. But, as mad as this is to say, don't forget to check out the preview because I know we only played last night, but we're in silly season now where the games come thick and fast. So the preview for the Fulham game went up at about 6 o'clock, 6:30 this evening. So if you do get a chance, please check that one out. You'll see my prediction for the score, my starting 11 prediction, and of course, I would love to know your thoughts on it as well. Loads for us to get through to tonight. Yeah, look, I'm in good form. My voice is a little bit sore because it's been a busy couple of weeks, and Connor asked me a question yesterday. He said, I'd love to know how many words you've spoken over the past couple of weeks, but my voice is certainly starting to feel the brunt of it, but you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. So, my friends, it is Friday. What are you doing? What's your plans for the weekend? And what are we expecting from Liverpool? Jack Howe, OEO, first super chat of the night. I don't even know what an OEO is, mate. That word literally just came out of my face. There you go, Jack Howe. Said, evening, Craig, wishing you and the family well. Thank you, mate, as well. There was another lovely comment in there earlier on from The Smoke who said, big up, Craig, lad. Thank you, mate. Appreciate you. Popping in again, please subscribe and share this. Said Mark. Mark is on his work due tonight. And as you can see, he's more entertained here at Anfield Agenda's community than he is out there in his work do. So, Mark, enjoy yourself. I don't know if you've any hair to let down, buddy, but have a bit of fun. And, yeah, appreciate you being in, though, as always. Right, so I want to give a shout out as well to Adam earlier on, launched his brand new channel, I say, his rebranded channel. United Vibe is no more, it is now FUTV, or Forever United TV, so do go across and show Adam some love over there as well. Brian, LFC USA, who I was just messaging before we started the stream as well, has dropped in with 20 Anfield Agenda memberships. Brian, you are very kind, sir. They've gone to Goomy, to R22 Drippy, to Buska Bar, FIFA Mobile, to Ethan, to The Smoke. There you go, The Smoke, look. Love that. He's a member as well already. To David Cornwell, to Stan the Man, to Hernan, to David Carroll, to Jake Cordina, Rob Bate, Oleg Robakov. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I probably didn't. Robbie Thompson, Jimmy Woolswing, Wong's World, sorry mate. George Edwards, Paul Vowles, Josh Payne, there we go, boom. We love that. Nick as well, Philly, Norbert and Lashley, but definitely not least Steve. There we go. Oh no, there was one more. AP's in there as well. There we go. Thank you, Brian, for that, mate. You're very kind. So a lot to go through on tonight's stream, and I know I see the comments. I always read through them before I start, and I understand how a lot of people are a little bit doubting of the Jeremie Frimpong thing. Look, I wouldn't have been bringing up Frimpong today only for Fabrizio Romano's post that said Jeremie Frimpong does have a release clause of 40 million euro that is only valid this summer. So that's why we think it could be doable, because Liverpool need to strengthen their attack, or their defence, excuse me, and we like to attack from the back with Trent Alexander-Arnold. And this feels like a potential watershed moment for me. If Jurgen Klopp is really serious about moving Trent Alexander-Arnold into midfield eventually, then Jeremie Frimpong could be the ideal replacement for Trent in that right back position. He plays as a wing back, obviously, in that Leverkusen system. So far this season, 5 goals, 7 assists, and 40 million euro is pretty good, to be fair, for somebody of that talent. Fabrizio goes on to say the value of the release clause is 40 million euro with favourable payment terms. So it seems like it's a doable deal for somebody. Somebody's going to get a bargain. If I'm not mistaken, and I'm open to be corrected, I think Jeremie Frimpong would be classed as homegrown as well, right? Because didn't he come up to the Manchester City system? So it just makes sense for an English club if this dude's going to be available. So let's see who's at the table in the summer. 40 million euro is a bargain, though. Someone's going to get a very, very talented footballer for a very fair amount of money in this modern market. Want your predictions for the Fulham game? Well, I've just recorded them earlier on, mate. They are up. Give it a watch if you get a chance. I've given out my score prediction, my starting 11 prediction. I'll tell you what, there was a few difficult decisions in there, though, particularly around who starts through the centre. Did I go with Darwin Nunez? Did I reward Cody Gakpo for his 2 goals last night? Well, watch it and you'll see. I hope you give it a chance. Hope all is well. Stephen, yes, I can't complain, mate. Can't complain. Look, this is my favourite football time of the year. You've got games coming every few days, and if you look at the fixtures coming up right across the Premier League, we're in for some belter games coming up. Obviously, we've got Manchester United and Arsenal a bit later on in the month. We've got the Carabao Cup game against West Ham, I think on the 20th, if my memory's right. But we need to make sure that we get into those games in a healthy position. And to do that, we've got to keep the show on the road, don't we? And that starts with Fulham coming to Anfield this Sunday. Remember, it's a 2 p.m. kickoff. We'll be live here on Anfield Agenda from 1 p.m. if you'd like to come and join us for the watch along. But loads for us to get through tonight. We'll be talking about Haaland as well from the perspective of Real Madrid. We'll be talking about a new deal for a young Liverpool player. A couple of other bits and pieces as well. But before I get into all that, my friends. Oh, here's a super chat. Booked flights to Lebanon. So happy. 3 months on. 3 months for the leg. Sorry, Colin. I hope you heal quicker than that. I hope you're not out for those full 3 months. But glad to hear that you're heading over to the Lebanon for a visit. So look, last night we talked about Harvey Elliott quite a bit. And there were some people in the chat said something to me and it stuck with me and it resonated with me and I wanted to figure out if they were right or not. One of the comments was, Elliott had a decent game, but he wasn't very proactive in his passing. And I felt differently, but I had nothing to back it up because it was just the eye test. But then I read an article on Sky last night that basically bigged up Harvey Elliott, spoke about the fact that he's really knocking on the manager's door at this point for a starting place, and they went through his stats from his performance last night against Las Linz, and they say this: no player created more chances than Harvey Elliott against Las Linz on Thursday night. He ended the game with the most completed final third passes. He also made it impossible to play against Mo on the right-hand side by tucking in there defensively. And if you look at his stats in the game, he had 4 shots, he had 3 chances created, 1 big chance created, 24 passes in the final third, and 75 touches. So he wasn't negative in possession. He was active. He was a positive influence on the game. And that doesn't even go into his pressing stats or anything either. So again, sometimes we just have to look into these things a little bit more because Harvey Elliott is really stepping up. I don't think he's getting the credit from some people that his cameos have deserved, and he's going to give Jurgen Klopp a headache in a good way. I'll be at the United game, unmissable that one, said the smoke. Oh, it's going to be a belter, mate. It is going to be a belter of a game right before Arsenal as well. It's going to be a hectic week for Liverpool. We've got Manchester United at home that week. Then obviously we've got the League Cup against West Ham at home, and then a game against Arsenal as well. It is going to be a jam-packed festive period. Any updates on Andre? Is he not going to Liverpool? It doesn't look like it's CFC, Jay's. Fulham are the name that are continuously linked, but I guess while Andre is still available, we have to wait and see what happens. You know, I'm hoping that we're quiet for a reason, but I'm not overly optimistic at this point. How was Endo yesterday? He was good. I didn't get a chance to look into his stats as much, but certainly I think, again, he can look at that game last night and feel like he's starting to adapt to that role a bit more. You know, he's playing I know it's a defensive midfield position, but Klopp wants him pressing and winning the balls higher up the pitch, so I think he's still getting used to that. But promising signs from Endo as well yesterday. Defacement Network said, hey Craig, just showing a little economic support to the channel. Coming here really helps my mornings and keeps me positive. Also, Harvey Elliott is underrated right now. That kid is coming up, I swear. Well, I'm glad we have a positive influence on you, mate. Your support of the channel certainly having a positive influence on me and, of course, on the chat as well. And sometimes, a day like today, mate, I do need that pick-me-up because I'm struggling today. I won't lie to you. Just tiredness. Nothing wrong with my mental health, nothing like that. Just really struggling to get going today because I have been, for want of a better phrase, balls to the wall for the last few weeks. It has been 100 miles an hour, lots of stuff going on. Lots of stuff getting sorted for the Boston show and a few other bits and pieces. Obviously, we were making sure we had everything ready for Adam's rebranding of his channel as well. So myself, Connor, Ben, the whole team have been flat out. But it's worth it because I think everything's going in the right direction. Yes, Frimpong, please, said Dimmy. Look, I'm very surprised that he has such a reasonable release clause. Now, as Fabrizio said, that release clause only becomes active in the summer, but for €40 million, I dare say we would struggle to find another fullback or another attacking fullback for that price. So I don't know if Liverpool are going to be in the race for Jeremie Frimpong. As I say here, I don't know, but I think it'll come down to a couple of things. We have to obviously see how Connor Bradley gets on, having come back from injury. It was great to see him take to the pitch last night. And obviously we have Calvin Ramsey as well, who's on loan this season at Preston. So we've got to see how Calvin Ramsey continues developing. Now on Connor Bradley, good news today is Connor Bradley has signed a new long-term contract with Liverpool Football Club. This was reported quite a while ago by Quiva O'Neill, if my memory is correct, on The Athletic. And things went a bit quiet then, but Quiva was spot on. He has indeed now announced that new deal. So congratulations to Connor Bradley. Very well deserved. And I think he's got a good career ahead of him. He's 20 years of age, back from injury after a while out. We've seen him in pre-season. He looked really good. Then, of course, he had that unfortunately timed injury. But last night, he got back on the pitch. And I can't wait to see how he develops this season. I'm sure he'll get some games under Jurgen Klopp as well. And then a big decision's going to be made, I guess, in January. Do Liverpool look to send Connor Bradley on loan for the second half of the season? Or should we keep him? And I guess that's a question I'm going to put into the chat tonight for the first poll of the evening. Let's go with that one. So what should Liverpool do with Connor Bradley? Let's get going. One sec. There we go. I think I've got that right. Yeah. My typing's getting a little bit faster, a little bit less aggressive and a little bit faster. So the question is, should Liverpool loan Bradley from January? So if you were Liverpool Football Club, if you were Jurgen Klopp right now, with Connor Bradley being back and the January window coming upon us, would you send him out on loan for the second half of the season? Is Bajcetic fit yet? Not yet, Joe, but I think he's getting close. Now, I don't want to give you a confirmation on a time or a date, but I do think he's getting close. When is Only Craig coming out? In what? The Only Fans, or the Only Craig channel? Oh, mate, I've got no time. At the minute, with top of the league and Anfield Agenda, I'm flat out. And I'm looking at another little side hustle that I'm thinking of investing into. And with the live shows we're trying to plan and merch that we're looking at, oh, mate, I just haven't got any time for any more content. Barely have time to sleep at this point, but again, I'm not complaining. Fitzfrank, I always notice your comment, Fitzfrank. Say thanks for the content. Always notice it when we read out. So, thank you, man. That doesn't go without appreciation, buddy. How's Ramsey been doing? He's not been back that long. So, if my memory's right, I think Bradley's only been back. Not Bradley, excuse me. Ramsey's only been back 3-4 weeks now at Preston. So I haven't been able to keep an eye on him myself because I don't watch much of the Championship, but the vibes that I'm seeing or the comments around him seem to be positive. Look, he's a good player. It's just been really unfortunate that since we signed him from Aberdeen, we've not really got to see him, either on loan too much or obviously playing for Liverpool. Polls blank for me. I don't know what to say to you, mate. I mean, that must be a YouTube thing. It's certainly not anything I'm doing on my side. It's definitely there. I was just checking just to make sure. Craig, start, bench, sell, Maka, Szoboszlai, Trent in midfield. I mean, no, I'm not playing those silly games, Oscar, because I can't win in that scenario. No matter what I say, I'm going to insult and annoy someone with that. So, no. Let's just play the game of Liverpool have all three of those guys and we don't need to sell any of them or drop any of them. Craig, ideal DM signing. You know, I know it's an easy answer for me to give, but the more I've looked into Andre, the more I've watched them, the more I've looked at what type of a midfielder he is, the more I think that he is the answer. And it makes it even more confusing for me that Liverpool, you know, as of right now, aren't really being linked with making that happen for 30 million quid. So I would say that he is the answer. But then again, you could look at something a little bit different. You could look at Manu Kone, but you'd have concerns about his injuries. There's also an argument, I think, that we could look at Gravenberch as a different number 6 on occasion, like we've done with McAllister. So Jurgen seems fairly insistent that he's happy with the midfield options that we have at the moment. I think most of us would probably respectfully disagree with the gaffer and think that we really do need that defensive midfielder. But I guess the downside of Andre is he's not a big physical brute, right, like Rodri. So there's pros and cons here. He's not going to win many aerial duels, but then again, his reading and understanding of the game is very good. His resistance of a press is very good. And he's Brazilian. And let's be honest, we all love a Brazilian. Would you rather have signed Thuram or Andre? Andre. I think Andre. Kefren Thuram has a lot about him. Very easy to see why we were linked with him. Very Jurgen Klopp in his style of play, but I think our box-to-box kind of role is filled up, and I don't see Kefren Thuram as a real number 6. I think he is an 8, and I think it'd be, again, kind of just trying to shoehorn somebody into a position. Yeah, I don't see it anymore, but we've been linked with Kefren Thuram, so have Juventus, and I think he will move at some point. Do you think we have a better chance of winning the Prem than Arsenal? Well, Mikey, I'm going to say yes. Of course I am. But I'm a Liverpool fan, so why wouldn't I? I mean, if you ask an Arsenal fan the reverse of that question, I'm sure the Arsenal fan would say that they believe Arsenal have a better chance of winning the league than Liverpool. So, my honest, hand on heart, non-deluded, trying to stay as focused as I can, I don't think Arsenal have enough firepower to really get themselves through some of them sticky periods where maybe, you're not at it that day. You're not as good as you can be, and you rely on a moment of magic occasionally. They have some good players, yes, but I still feel they're just a little soft still, even with Declan Rice there. And they need a 9. They need a proper 25, 30 goal a season number 9, and they don't have that at the minute. So until they get that, I think they're going to come up a little bit short. And also, the goalkeeping situation at Arsenal, I don't think is doing the club any favours, David Raya, I mean, he's okay. I think both their goalkeepers are a 7 out of 10, whereas we've got a solid 9 out of 10. But I won't sit here and say they aren't impressive, because they are, and they deserve credit. What Arteta's doing is really impressive. The squad he's assembling has been backed by Kroenke there as well. And I have a lot of respect for Arsenal, but honestly I feel the answer to that question is Liverpool, I think, are slightly better placed. Quansah was so good last night, definitely a future first choice centre-back. Oh, Keane, he was awesome, mate. Awesome. Just didn't look like anything was stressful for him, didn't look like anything was new to him. He looked like he played that position all his life, and he looked like he'd be playing at that level all his life. So yeah, I thought he was brilliant. So one player we can rule out, because we often speak about Mohamed Salah potential replacements. One player that we can rule out now is Nico Williams, because today he has signed a new deal with Athletic Club Bilbao. They've announced it on their socials. So yeah, Nico Williams is staying there along with Iñaki Williams, and I did say to you guys the family were rather settled over there in Bilbao. His contract was going to be up at the end of this season, now signing that new deal till 2027. I think we can rule out him as a possible alternative if we move on Mohamed Salah. Excuse me. So yeah, let's I think we can run a line through that one. So that's one less. But it is getting interesting around the whole Mbappe and now Haaland, because I read something today that really does throw a cat amongst the pigeons, I guess, for want of a better phrase. So let me read you through it. There's a piece coming out of Dario AS, who I believe are a Spanish outlet. They say that Real Madrid have sounded out Erling Haaland's agent, Rafaela Pimenta, over a potential deal. They go on to say that Real Madrid, who are, of course, also weighing up a will they, won't they with Kylian Mbappe, but I have to say, it would be a better fit for Real Madrid if they went after Haaland than Kylian Mbappe, in my opinion, for what they need. Because they have Vinny Jr., they have Rodrigo. I know they have Endrick coming as well. So when I seen this today, I thought, well, wasn't there supposed to be an agreement that they weren't going after Haaland? Apparently, there was a rumoured agreement between themselves and Endrick that they wouldn't go after they wouldn't go after Haaland if they signed Endrick from Palmeiras, which of course they have. But it'll be interesting to see what does happen. Like, there is a release clause, isn't there, in Haaland's deal? If I'm not mistaken, I think we discussed this previously. I want to say there was talk of 100 million release clause or something in there. And I think that's a better fit for what Madrid need than Kylian Mbappe, personally. But let's wait and see. I want to know what you guys think about it, though. Do you think there's any substance to this? Do you think that Erling Haaland will leave Manchester City? Or do you think that maybe Real Madrid are sniffing, thinking, well, Manchester City have this 115 charges against them. Haaland, if they got in trouble, isn't going to want to stay there with a club that maybe are deducted points or stopped from playing in European competition or relegated. So maybe Madrid are just testing the waters there ahead of that case for Manchester City, which looks like it's going to be heard next autumn with a resolution the following summer by the sounds of things. So let's wait and see there. But I want to know your thoughts on it. Do you think Salah will leave in the summer? I have to say yes right now, because until I know the club are negotiating with Mo, I feel like the answer is he'll be sold in the summer, because you can't let him leave on a free. And you don't want to run the risk of going into the final year of his deal and start negotiating then about a new deal, because then he can leave for free and sign a pre-contract from that January. So until we get any word that the club are sitting there negotiating, I feel like, yes, he will leave in the summer. But that's not what I want. I want him to sign a new deal. But I can't sit here and say I feel confident about that when we don't know that that's even under consideration at the minute. There's no indication from anywhere that Liverpool are sitting down with Mo and his representative to try and figure it out, which is weird. I hope that it's just being done very quietly, very privately, and as I keep saying, we wake up one day to the news that Mo signed an extension. But if he doesn't, I think he goes. Craig, who would you play when Salah and Endo are out for the AFCON and Asian Cup? Well, I don't really think we need to worry too much about Endo being out then, because he's not getting much game time anyway. So you would hope by Cecic would be fit and we'd have that boxed off. On the right-hand side of attack, we've got options. You know, we could move Lucho over to the right for a few weeks if needs be. Maybe play Gakpo on the left-hand side or Darwin wide left. You've got Elliott who can come in and play on the right-hand side. You know, Szoboszlai, a push, can play on the right side of attack. Ben Doak, of course, as well. So I don't think we're going to be too badly hit by the AFCON and the Asian Cup, but let's wait and see. And I don't expect Egypt to go too far in that competition either, to be honest with you, because maybe I'm a bit naive about my knowledge of African football, but I think there are stronger squads in that tournament. Yes, Haaland would leave City for Madrid. I think he would as well, because I never envisioned Haaland going on to become a Manchester City legend. I never envisioned Haaland staying there for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Didn't strike me as likely, even when City signed him. Like, I did think it was going to be, I don't want to say a stepping stone, but a part of his journey is probably the best way to put it. Craig, make your all-time Liverpool team. I've done it. There's a video up with that, Oscar, on the channel already. Do a search for it there, mate, and you'll see it. I went through and did the best Liverpool 11 of my lifetime. So yeah, have a look, mate. It's up there. Szoboszlai can play on the right. Szoboszlai on the right, Harvey in midfield, said Fritz Frank, which is a decent shout as well. Szoboszlai played on the right when he scored that goal for Hungary the other week, so defo him, said Toes. I've always thought Madrid would get both Mbappe and Haaland. I don't think they have the money for it. Yeah, I know they're Madrid, and I know you never really can rule out anything when Florentino Perez is involved, but they've just had to obviously pay a lot of money for the revamping of the Bernabeu. They've brought in Jude Bellingham. They've signed Rodrigo to a new deal. They need to bring in full-backs. I don't see that they have that much cash available to them to go out and bring in Mbappe and Haaland. I mean, surely there would have to be some FFP questions there if we're seeing Madrid able to bring in Bellingham for the fee they did with the wages they are, Rodrigo, Vinny Jr., and then bring in Mbappe and Haaland. I mean, somebody'd have to ask a question there, surely. What do you think the odds are of us getting Mbappe? I can give you two answers. The odds of us getting Mbappe with Real Madrid still in the race, 10%. If Real Madrid are out of the race, the odds on us getting Mbappe, I would put it up at 50%, because I don't see him staying at PSG. I don't see City being a right attractive option for him. I know Arsenal's name has been linked, but with all due respect, the man wants to win a Ballon d'Or and a European Cup, and I think he'd be better placed to do that long term at Anfield, albeit this season, of course, Arsenal are in the Champions League and we aren't. But we hope that's just a one season thing for us. Yeah, I think, as I said, 10% right now with Real Madrid potentially in the race. But if they drop out, I'd put it up at 50, honestly. Especially if you link it to the potential departure of Mo. So if Mo left and we got 100 million for Mo, well, that's the signing on fee for Mbappe there straight away. And then you're just talking about trying to figure out the wage side of it. And don't forget one other important aspect here. Kylian Mbappe is a huge basketball fan. He's a huge fan of LeBron James. They've got a friendship. LeBron James obviously has an ownership stake in Liverpool Football Club. They're both under the Nike banner of athletes. So, you know, you've got to weigh up these things as well. What's the time to give up about Nunez? Why? How is this even a conversation? Like, the way people are going, like, there are far more signings in the Premier League that are stinking the gaff up than Darwin, and yet we have to listen to this bullshit all the time. Give Darwin a break. I mean, the way people are going on, you swear he doesn't know how to score or isn't contributing to the team. Darwin Nunez is absolutely fine. And, you know, I don't see this much shit about Anthony, as an example, out there, who's done what since he's gone in. Or Mason Mount, who's done what since he's gone. People need to just get off our players' backs now and leave them alone. Nothing wrong with Darwin. No need to even think about drawing the line under it, because he's absolutely fine. And I don't get it. It's weird. Like, it genuinely is weird. If he hadn't scored in 3 months, if he was, you know, not getting used to the system, if he wasn't showing the right signs, I'd think, okay, maybe fair enough, there's a conversation here. But remember, we've just had to pay another 8.5 million quid to Benfica because he's reached his 60th appearance for Liverpool. So as I've always said, if we have to pay out that full 100 million euro to Benfica, it's because something's going right. And I think Darwin Nunez right now is fine at Liverpool Football Club. You know, we may not see a consistent 40 goal a seasons from him across all competitions, but I tell you what, I'd rather have him at the club than not. Anthony is class at what? It's not football. Like, we're not having... No, come on now. Anthony is another step over donkey. He's another showboat. He's another 1 game in 10 merchant. He's just not it. With all due respect, he is not it. And he is not worth the money that United paid for him. Like, if you're comparing the fees, and they're about the same fee if I'm not mistaken, surely to Jesus we'll all agree that Darwin's the better purchase there. If not, then I'm in the wrong place. Wataru Endo with the most recoveries for Liverpool today. Well, you should hope so, because it's the position where he should be doing the most recoveries, to be fair. He also completed the second most passes on the pitch and created the second most chances. Yeah, he stepped up yesterday, and I was very pleased with the chat as well. There was a lot of positivity for Wataru in the chat yesterday, which was lovely to see. Worst keeper in the Prem, no doubt. Oh, did you see this nonsense, by the way, from Ten Lasso earlier on today, talking about statistically Onana's the second best keeper in the Premier League? Fuck you. I don't know what stat you're pulling out of your arse to try and justify old fucking Teflon gloves. He's gash. He's terrible. He's woeful. And how many times has he got to cost United before Eric Ten Lasso realises that he's absolutely bought a dud there? You know, it's not once, it's not twice. He was brought in to be the sweeper keeper at the back, to be great with his distribution, to be all these things that he just hasn't been. And I'm supposed to sit here now and listen to Ten Lasso talking about him being the second best keeper. Fuck you. Simply do one. Nonsense. You're not convincing anyone. He's probably not even the second best keeper in Manchester, let alone in the Premier League. My God. I mean, you know I give credit where it's due. At least I try to. But come on. I know he's got to big up his players and all this, but I don't have to be met with this shit when I open Sky Sports app and hear this tripe coming out of his mouth. Statistically, he can kiss my ass. Statistically. Even United fans aren't having it. Like, United fans, look at the comments after his performances. Look, I'm not hating on him, but I'm also not being force-fed this shite, about him being the second best keeper statistically. Come on now. Any chance of a live show in Canada? Maybe. And I say that because my wife has lots of relatives over there, so maybe. But the plan is Boston in March and then hopefully June for a few UK dates if we can get them lined up. But as I said the other night, we've booked in, we've signed the contract. Boston's all systems go. 22nd of March, cannot wait. Did you watch the documentary? I recommend it. Was that the Britain's biggest football scandal, Mr. Palmer? Was that the one? If so, oh yes, sir. And I've shown it to a few of my mates as well who've also watched it, and all of us at the same time looked at it and just went, do you know what? How has that happened? TalkSport were all over that Onana stat the other day. Oh, it's just like, basically, you know what happened there, right? Somebody at United was told to go through every statistic for goalkeeping and find something to cling on to give Onana some realm of respectability. I don't know. I can only assume that's what happened because there is no stat that justifies how poor he's been. He had that one moment where he saved the penalty in the Champions League, and it was a big moment, fair play to him, but again, United would have left Istanbul with a win if it wasn't for him. The first goal, he's just jumping to the left for no reason when that's the wall side, and then the free kick goes in here. And the second one from Ziyech, well, if he had a dive without any arms, he'd have made a better fist of it because all he did was push it into the goal. He didn't have a single cross that he caught in that game. Not a one. Not one. Think about that. Goalkeeper did not come out and catch one single cross. Shocking. Right, so more news, more to go through. So we've been linked with another player. Now, I need your help because I know that there are some very well-placed fans of younger players in the chat who watch a lot more of the European football than I do. So I need your help here. A piece that I read yesterday said that Liverpool are interested in a midfielder from Belgian side Genk, 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 not Ghent, Genk. And it is Bilal El Kanous, who's reportedly a huge talent, 19 years of age. He's one of their prized pieces of silverware, according to this article. Italian outlet Corriere dello Sport say that Liverpool and Spurs are on, red alert, keeping an eye on him. And they speak about a fee of about 18 million euro for the kid. I've never seen him play football, so I've no idea. I'm hoping maybe one of you guys or girls out there will have watched a bit more Belgian football than me. But, price-wise, it sounds reasonable. 19 years of age makes it believable from a Liverpool perspective because we do like players between 19 and 24. That's kind of the sweet spot. He's class, but he's a number 10, said Russell. I've seen him on FIFA once at Blair's video channel. Did you get a chance to listen to that guy from this third performance of Sound of Silence? No, but Ben sent me a link to it, so I haven't had a chance yet. Is Andre still coming to Liverpool? I feel like I've answered that question twice already so far. What do you say still coming to Liverpool? I don't know. I don't think anybody's ever come out there and said Liverpool are 100% signing Andre. But as we sit here right now, it's gone very quiet from a Liverpool perspective. Not West Ham, excuse me. Fulham are the club most spoken about these days with Andre. But until the contract is inked, we don't know, do we? We just have to wait and see what happens. I mean, we're getting close now to the January market. We're in December, so you hope that we start hearing stories soon. The one thing I want more than anything is to hear that Liverpool are talking with Mohamed Salah. That's the one I'm waiting for every day when I get up. I anxiously look around. I see all the players we're linked with and whatnot, but that's the big deal, right? We need to figure out, because if we know what's going to happen with Mo, we can start to piece together the rest of the picture, I think. If we don't know what's happening with Mo, I think that leaves, again, a lot of uncertainty. I've no doubts that Jurgen will want Mo to stay. I've absolutely no doubt about that. But we also know that the couple of times that Klopp has gone to bat for players who are getting to their latter years, like Jordan Henderson, it hasn't worked out well because Henderson, he ran off after getting that new deal, an extension that I think most people felt was probably a little bit longer than deserved. So I wonder if maybe FSG are going to say, look, we have to cash in. He's got 1 year to go. He's over the age of 30. We know their policy and that. But again, we're dealing with somebody who isn't the norm. We're dealing with a special player who is still delivering. It's just such a horrible situation. I hate it. I hate when we don't know what's going on with Mo. What's your opinion on Kamara from Aston Villa? Very highly thought of. We were linked last summer at one point to him. But as I've always said, Danny, you're not going to be getting players out of Villa these days. They have their own intentions of becoming a club that are up at the top end of the Premier League table. They've invested in a good manager. They've invested in good players there. Diaby, of course, a cracking signing. And Kamara is going to be, I think, somebody they're going to want to keep around. So I don't see Villa being a selling club anytime soon, unless it's someone Villa want to move on. What's your thoughts on this sin bin nonsense? Said Total Eclipse. Well, pretty much like you've summed it up, mate. Nonsense. It's not our sport. It's bullshit. Look, you won't hear these words come out of my mouth very often, but I fully agree with Paul Merson. It works in rugby because it's a game that has natural stops and starts. But as Merce said, if you bring in a sin bin in football, all that's going to happen is we'll have a 10-minute period where a team just sits back and defends deep. It's going to be boring. It's going to ruin the flow of a game. And it doesn't work. It just doesn't. So I think focus on getting the stuff that they're not getting right first before we start to look at more changes to it. It feels like they're tinkering around with our sport way too much. Just leave it the hell alone. If they're not making the rules illegible to most of us, then they're reinventing all the competitions. Just stop. Take a breath. Calm. And get the referees up to speed first. And get them making the right decisions. And getting everybody understanding the actual laws of the goddamn game. Because as mad as it sounds, how many people have we heard have the conversation about what's a handball over the past couple of weeks? One of the most basic things of football. And whether it's pundits, fan channels, players, managers, nobody seems to have a goddamn clue what constitutes a handball and what doesn't. It's weird. So my focus would be get that shit right before we move on to start making more changes. Thoughts on the Tonali ban? I don't know enough about it to really give you a fair analysis. What I would wonder, and this is just me talking out loud, you'd have to ask yourself, did Milan know? Did they have any indication of anything before they got that money and sold them? Because you know what, I'm not a believer in coincidences. Genuinely, like, there's been some other situations where football clubs have been sold players that a couple of months later stuff has come out about. I'm not sure. Now, on the actual ban, honestly, I have no idea because I don't know enough about the charges. But it's never a great look if football players are betting on football, especially if they're betting on games that they're involved in or their teams are involved in. It shouldn't be happening. They know the rules. But also, I'm not qualified to speak about addiction, particularly when it comes to gambling and stuff like that. So I feel like I can't add anything of value to that conversation, really. Okay, well, you're getting timed out. If you keep... Look, you've put the same comment in twice there in the space of a second. So, little timeout for you, mate, there before we... And there you've done it again. So, that's 3 times, mate, in the space of 2 seconds. You've put in the same comment over and over and over again about Frimpong. I've already discussed Frimpong, and I will happily go back over it, but some people came in on time, dude. I'm only joking. I'll go back over it in a bit, but please don't be spamming it in like that, mate. How about Rico Lewis to Liverpool? Yeah, because that'll happen. That'll definitely happen. Manchester City will go, let's get one of our brightest young talents that Pep has been honing his skills and sell him off to our greatest rivals in the Premier League. Come on now. It's not going to happen. Great player, though. Really good young player and developing rather well. You've got to give credit there. He's a good player. Did you notice during the Newcastle game, the same referees in the World Cup final? So, he was Polish, right? The referee that refereed the Newcastle game. And he was, I'll tell you what else he was. He was a bottle job. Because he knew in his heart of hearts not to give that penalty. He knew the rules of the game. He knew that was bullshit. And he still went over to the monitor. And he still bowed down to the pressure. And he still looked up and seen Alexander Kefren in the stands with the PSG president. And he still had Kylian Mbappe over his shoulder. He went to that monitor. He knew damn well it wasn't a penalty. The rest of the world knew it wasn't a penalty. And he shit the bed. And he gave it. And the Geordies were robbed of a victory. Like, do you know what I don't get? I've seen some people try to justify them getting that nonsense penalty by saying PSG were battering Newcastle. They deserved something from the game. Fuck you. No, they didn't. That's not how football works. Stats don't win you matches. Putting the roundy thing in the back of the net, it wins you matches. And we've all watched their teams play. We've all had games where we've absolutely kicked somebody up and down the pitch, battered them, and came away scratching our heads going, how did we not win that? Or how did we lose that? So that is a nonsense argument. PSG hadn't got their shooting boots on. Barcola missed a hat-trick. There's another couple of chances missed as well. I just feel Newcastle were robbed. Robbed of a double over PSG, booking the pathway, or at least leaving it in their own hands for the pathway through to the knockout stage. And I feel really sad for them, because if it was me and if it was Liverpool, I know we'd get no support from anybody. I know everybody be laughing at us because that's what seemingly happens when something happens to us. But I've always said to people, please push aside your club rivalries. Please push aside your own biases and speak up on these occasions. And that's what I tried to do after that for Newcastle, because we all know that wasn't a penalty. It was nonsense. Why did VAR get suspended for the next game but not the ref? I think he was, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was demoted. He was supposed to be on VAR duty for the next game, as far as I'm aware. And he was dropped down. Now, again, I'm happy to be corrected on that if I've interpreted it wrong. But I think that's what the situation was. Just because you're battering something and missing chances doesn't mean you should get decisions that are wrong. Exactly, Lisa. Exactly. Spot on, mate. And that got me, because I don't think there was anybody that was surprised. We even mentioned it, I think, during the watch-along. Like, watch this now, 8 minutes of stoppage time. When are we going to get the penalty shouts? And there it was, straight away. And it's just grubby, and it's horrible. And whatever you think of Newcastle and their owners, and I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of any country owning a football club. But I am a fan of the Geordies. I am a fan of the club. I'm a fan of their fans. I'm a fan of Eddie Howe and the way he's gone about his business. And I felt heartbroken for them. I really did. What about Guerrero from Bayern? As in Rafa Guerrero? Is he gone from? I don't even pay attention to Dortmund anymore. Are we talking about Rafa Guerrero first and foremost? Because if so, I think that ship has sailed with us. Was Trent to get fined for a celebration against City? No, James Pearce confirmed that there was no action being taken or even being considered by the Premier League or the FA over that. I think that was just a story made up by somebody and it got ran with. But no, there's no substance to it. There was no even investigation into it. UEFA made the rule that if it's a player's hand, even accidentally or deliberately, it's a penalty. That's not true. Not true. Not what the rules say. The rules clearly state that if it comes off the player's body from a short distance or rebounds off their body to hit their hand, it isn't a penalty. It's in the rules. It's in black and white. Go have a look at it. It's been reported high and far as well, or far and wide, sorry. The rule is if it deflects up off your body and hits you onto your arm, it's not a penalty. And the referee didn't. That's why the referee was demoted, because he didn't use the rules that were there from. So that argument doesn't wash either, because it just simply isn't true. What about Shane McGowan? We mentioned the passing of Shane McGowan yesterday, Dermot. You know, an incredible talent, an incredible contribution to music, and wrote the greatest Christmas song of all time. So yes, may he rest in peace, and I hope he gave Kirsty McCall a big hug when they were reunited again. You know, she sadly passed away in a boating accident. I think, if I'm not mistaken, she saved her daughter or a child and died from a collision. So yeah, it's a lot of people passing away, unfortunately. No, look, sorry, Kirsty McCall was a while back, many years ago. But I mean, you know, we've had Sinead O'Connor pass this year from an Irish perspective. Christy Dignam, of course, as well. And now Shane McGowan, who was born in the UK to Irish parents, but you know, is known for his Irish music pretty much. Travelling to Liverpool in February, any advice on how to get tickets? I mean, yes and no. Not anything I could feel comfortable trying to sort out for you here, but I can. If you let me know the game, Queen Nadra, I can certainly try my best to source what you need. But you know, maybe email us if that's possible. contact@AnfieldAgenda.com, and I'll do my best to try and sort you something. How far are you travelling as well? Because yeah, it's bold. It's always brave travelling over without tickets, but we'll do our best. If I can figure something out or somebody in the chat can help you out, we will try, because you're a long time viewer of the channel and you're very supportive. So if we can help, we will. Excuse me, my throat again, man. It's in bits. AP, all good, bud, all good. Like, I will see your comments, mate, AP26, and I will go through them, don't worry. And Joe, I'll do it now, because you're very kind and I appreciate your response into the chat there. So I will more than happily go through it for you again. So right, earlier on this caught my eye, and it was posted by Fabrizio Romano. And of course, Fabrizio Romano, as we know, is the transfer guru and knows more than most of us. So he said Jeremie Frimpong's release clause is only valid in the summer. So coming up in the summer of 2024, he could leave Bayer Leverkusen then. He said the value of the release clause is €40 million with favourable payment terms. He goes on to say the Frimpong has had 5 goals and 7 assists so far this season. And the way we're kind of trying to think about this as a conversation is, if there is a real urge at Liverpool or a real desire to put Trent into midfield, then if Jeremie Frimpong comes available next summer, and remember I said to you guys I'd feel more comfortable if Trent moved into midfield if we did it when we have a full pre-season to work on the new system or to work on the little tweaks. Well, if you bring in this dude for €40 million, which is about what, £36 million, I think that could allow that transition, because we'd be bringing in an equally attack-minded. I know he plays in a wing back for Leverkusen, but you know, you're not going to get much better value than that. So I can't sit here and say that we are going to be in the summer to sign him. I don't know that. We're going to have to keep in mind Conor Bradley and Calvin Ramsey. Conor Bradley, of course, not only came back from injury last night for Liverpool, but signed a new contract that was announced today. So well done to him. And we've got Calvin Ramsey, who's worked back to fitness now with Preston as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on what's going on there as well. So yeah, it's exciting though, right? Somebody's going to get a very, very good homegrown talent for less than 37 million quid. Favourable payment terms, that's FSG all over. Oh god, yeah. Oh, you know what? You know, if they heard those words, they'd be like, you what now? We can put it on the never never. Real Madrid might go for Frimpong because they need some fullbacks. Yeah. Do you know what? He'd be a pretty good fit at Real Madrid as well, wouldn't he? You know, you look at the Marcelos of this world and the types of fullbacks Madrid have had over the years on either side. Danny, oh, you've killed me with that one, mate. Honestly. Yeah. It screams, doesn't it? Alphonso Davies and Frimpong. Yeah, you pissed all over me, cornflakes there. I never even really put that together in my head until you mentioned it. But that'll be a pretty good deal, wouldn't it? And you know, it'd be difficult to go up against Madrid because their need for a fullback is great as well. So, yeah. Good shout, though. Good shout from you. Frimpong and Bradley with Trent in midfield. Well, and Ramsey as well. Don't forget about Calvin Ramsey. We've already spoken about Andre a couple of times, Angelo. I've not seen anything personally, mate, new from a Liverpool perspective. I don't know if maybe somebody in the chat has, but the last I read is still saying the same thing, that the most recent news anybody really has is that Fulham had sent over their chief executive to have conversations. There was an interview that was doing the rounds from TNT Sports, I think, who were interviewing a Brazilian journalist who said that he'd be a perfect fit for Liverpool's system, the way he's press resistant, it would suit the way Jurgen Klopp wants to play. Spoke about City being a good fit potentially as well. But that's it. That's the latest I've seen on it. Have I missed something? 1 second. No, I've done the Queen Nadra one. Yeah, cool. Just making sure I hadn't missed one. We should sign Bakayoko. He's been linked, Queen Nadra. I don't watch much of the Eredivisie, so I don't know what stage of development Jonathan Bakayoko's at, but he had been linked with us. Like, I remember that from the last window. Have you heard the wonder kid Endrick to Madrid? Yeah, that's happened ages ago, Annette. You know, Endrick from Palmeiras, that Endrick. Yeah, but weirdly, who was it again? Weirdly, Annette, there was an article today that said that Real Madrid are eyeing a deal for Haaland and have contacted Rafaela Pimenta, who took over the agency that used to be Mina Raiola's, and is Haaland's representative, about a possible deal. So I had read that one of the agreements in place between Real Madrid and Endrick was that they weren't going to go after Haaland, but I don't know. Maybe they've had a change of heart. Maybe that agreement never existed. But yeah, he's going to be coming in there as well, which makes me feel like I don't think they're going to be going after Mbappe and Haaland. I think it'll be one or the other. And if Haaland, like, look at it this way. We all think, oh, Mbappe on a free transfer, right? But Mbappe's free transfer request is apparently €100 million signing on bonus. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's a buyout clause in Haaland's contract of about £100 million. So Real Madrid will probably have to put out a significant outlay on either. So I think, personally, and I'm not saying it's possible, but I think Haaland's a far better fit for what Real Madrid need than Mbappe is, because Real Madrid, in my opinion, need somebody through the centre. What Liverpool team do you miss the most? None. I'm living through the best time of my life watching Liverpool. You know, obviously Rafael Benitez brought us some good days. There was some enjoyable football under Roy Evans as well, although defensively back then we weren't great. But nah, this is great, mate. I'm very much loving the Jurgen Klopp era. Am I a fan of League of Their Own? I was back in the early days of the show. I feel like it's watered down a little bit now. Yeah, don't watch it these days. It was good back in the early days of the show, though. I really liked it back then. 150 to 175 for Haaland release clause. That's not true. Sorry, I'm sorry, Joe, mate. That's just not true. The release clause in Haaland's contract, if I'm not mistaken, is 100 million quid, and they want to bring it up to 150 million. I'm open to being corrected, but I'm pretty. I'm reasonably confident. Because remember, we spoke about that release clause on this channel before it was ever revealed that it existed, and then it was revealed that it existed. So I had my information on that one fairly early. But look, either way, there is a way to get him out of Manchester City without, the negotiation, shall we say, over a fee. Wake up, it's Foo Fighters Friday. I don't know what a Foo Fighters Friday is, mate, but I like the Foo Fighters, good band. Do you see Pep leaving City if they throw the book at him? I mean, the Lion asshole is saying that he's going to stay there even if they're in League One, which I don't believe for 1 second. Look, I've lost a lot of respect for Guardiola over the last few years, digging his heels in with the whole City shit. And I don't want to go into another rant about them because people are getting fed up with me talking about it, but I hope that everybody that pretended they didn't know that this was potentially shenanigans is... I hope all their reputations are fucking tainted because, the players, different. Okay, the players, fair enough. I don't really have the same disdain for the players that have gone there. But there's no part of me that doesn't think Guardiola knows. I don't believe it. I just don't. Favourite ever Liverpool game? Me personally, it's the Barcelona one. 7-0 from United comes in. Very close. Obviously Istanbul, but because of what it meant for me on the channel and the day that was in it and just the whole occasion, that will be the one that always sticks with me. Then I'd say Istanbul, 7-0 United. I really enjoyed the Everton victory where Van Dijk's shot hit the crossbar and Divock knocked it in as well. That was a special moment of go suck on that to the Everton fans. Apparently release clause on Haaland has been removed. Again, I don't think it has. I think that they were talking about it and they were talking about trying to get him to a new deal, but I don't think Haaland will ever sign a contract at any club that doesn't have a release clause in it. I just don't. I think the way his career is being mapped out, that's their safeguard. That's their guarantee that they can progress in their career however they like, as long as the money's there. Same way when he went to Dortmund, release clause was there. Signs a City contract, release clause is there. And I think it's the same thing with, even, look, if it goes to Real, it has to be there because legally there has to be a release clause. But I just get the feeling that it was never a long-term thing at Manchester City for me with Haaland. Just my opinion. Are Liverpool looking to buy Hincapié? Nobody's going to be buying him in January. I don't see anybody leaving Leverkusen of note in January. So Florian Wirtz's another name that's been linked with a move away. Hincapié's been linked with a move away. Frimpong, none of them will be doing it in January because they have a league title to be playing for. Europa League still, of course, through to the knockout stages of that. So yeah, no, if Liverpool do sign a defender, and I think we may, in January, it won't be Hincapié. At least I'd be extremely surprised if it was Hincapié. Do you think Alonso will come to Liverpool after Klopp? It depends what happens on a couple of things. You look at what's going on at Bayern Munich and you think, will they stick with Thomas Tuchel there long term? Don't know the answer to that. Ancelotti at Real Madrid, I mean, there seems to be a bit of a tussle, I should say, going on for the Brazil job. I mean, Mourinho's been linked with that job as well recently. So will Ancelotti finish up at Real Madrid and go and take over the Brazil job? Maybe, if in that case, do they go after Xavi Alonso? Perhaps. I don't know, but I also don't want to think about the next manager after Klopp now because 2.5 years is a long time in the world of football, and there will be new in-demand managers around by that point as well. Who would you buy from City if they get relegated next season? I wouldn't want any of them. I don't want any of them. I don't want any of the mercenaries. I'm not going to sit here and slag them off in the same way I will their club and Guardiola and all, but I don't want any of them. Fuck them. They were at that soulless tin pot club, and that told me everything I needed to know. So, nah, don't want any of them. Look, if I had to pick one player, if you're, forcing me on it, Rodri, probably. I'm sure Haaland said his move to City was likely only for 2 or 3 years. I get that impression. I've always got that impression with Haaland, that his final destination for the peak of his career will be elsewhere. Oh, what's this? He sent it in to me. 1 second. Okay, so Florian Plettenberg has just pissed all over my cornflakes. Florian Plettenberg has just said, being told that Liverpool is not pushing for Kylian Mbappe. His transfer in summer 2024 is not an issue at this stage for Liverpool. PSG still relaxed as they're financially secured for his possible departure. Real Madrid is the most realistic destination for him, either next year or the year after. See, that's what I don't get. How can PSG be calm about it because he's leaving? I know there's an option for him to extend, but it is him who has to extend it, and he's shown no indication to do it. So I don't know how that part works with regard to them being relaxed, because they're far from relaxed. If they were relaxed, they wouldn't have been kicking him out of the team at the start of the season. They wouldn't have been trying to freeze him out. They wouldn't have been putting a big guilt trip on Kylian Mbappe and his family through every source possible, including the president. So don't buy that from Florian Plettenberg. Sorry, I don't. No, I'm not saying I don't buy the part about Liverpool, but there's no part of me that feels that Liverpool will admit to that. Because for Liverpool to admit they're going to look at Mbappe, they probably have to also admit that they're willing to sell Salah. So I think, I don't think, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I think Liverpool don't go around announcing their business anyway. So why would Florian Plettenberg be told if Liverpool were interested? So, yeah, me on that one, I'd say I don't believe 90% of what's written there, to be honest with you. Mbappe is not a Klopp type player. Have you ever listened to Jurgen speak about Mbappe, mate? Honestly, like, whatever you think about what I say, or to say he's not a Klopp type player, let me just say something really honestly and clearly to you. He's an every manager in the goddamn world type player, because he is one of the greatest players to put on a pair of football boots. So this idea that Jurgen Klopp wouldn't work with Mbappe, or Guardiola wouldn't work with Mbappe, or whatever, is just that nonsense. Let's be honest. It's like doing it the other way. So I wouldn't want to go play for one of the greatest managers in the world because he's a bit of a diva. I mean, I don't think it's true. I get where you're coming from. I mean, I understand the concept of what you're saying, but at the end of the day, what manager's going to potentially turn down the... Do you want to get me to translate your idiocy for you, Saxum? You sound like Nit LFC fan. Why are you always morons? Mate, honestly, why are you always morons? Why are you trolls always the thickest pieces of pig shit that I will ever stand in? Not one of you fucking idiots can construct a sentence. Not one. Every motherfucking time I have to listen to your drivel, it's one idiotic, moronic comment after another. Not like an ounce of credibility, not an ounce of substance, nothing. Just shit trolling. Just fuck off. Honestly, mate. Like, I am more of an LFC fan than I will ever have to prove to you. I don't need to prove jack shit to you. You sound like... I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to say it because I don't want to get in trouble because you're not worth it. But fuck me. I long for the days where I get a troll that can actually construct a sentence and can actually have a bit of an exchange with me. Because it's just constant fucking stupidity, one after another. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Uh, don't get pissed for nothing. I'm not pissed, man. It's just foolish. Like, I don't get the mentality. Like, I think of it like this, right? I don't like, let's say, what do I not like? Give me something I don't like on TV. I don't like Emmerdale, right? I don't like Emmerdale. So, do you know what I don't do? I don't turn on ITV when Emmerdale's on, watch it, and then ring up ITV saying, why are you putting this shit on? I don't like Emmerdale. I don't like Emmerdale. Them Emmerdale lads and lassies are all idiots. It's weird. It's like Ricky Gervais said. It's like somebody going into a town centre, seeing somebody has an advertisement for guitar lessons, pulling the little number off, going home and ringing them and telling them you don't want guitar lessons. It's just weird. I don't get it. I hate you. I hate you. You're an asshole. But yeah, I'm here for everything you do and comment on everything. It's weird mentality. These people need to, and I know this is rich coming from me, but get out more. What else was there? I'm just trying to check my notes to make sure I haven't missed that. Yeah, on Conor Bradley's new deal, by the way. I think this deal was actually agreed a long time ago because, as I mentioned at the start of the stream, I remember Caoimhe O'Neill, who's been brilliant on all things Conor Bradley, by the way. She wrote a brilliant piece for, I think it was The Athletic, about Conor Bradley's development up in Northern Ireland and how he was always playing an age group or two above. And it was great. It gave me a real understanding of what Conor Bradley's about, where he came from. And she wrote a piece a while back as well saying that there was a new deal agreed. So I was waiting to see when it was announced, but today that new deal was announced, and I'm delighted because I'm a fan of Conor Bradley's. I like him. Will you do a collab with Leo's goals? You do know we did one the other day, right? And I'm not sure if you do or not, mate. Sorry, but we did one the other day, and we're trying to do a watch along. I asked Connor to ask Leo if he'd be available for the West Ham game, the League Cup game on the 20th. So if that works for Leo, then yeah, we'll have a joint watch along together for that game on the 20th. But I just need to make sure that it works for his schedule. How do you think Caicedo could have done if he joined Liverpool? Oh, mate, I can't lie to you. When we agreed that deal, right, the fee, I mean, with Brighton, and we'd won that little bidding war. Oh, yeah. I've never been as cocky and as arrogant about our chances of success as I was for those 12 hours or so. Until, of course, we figured out we didn't want to come to Liverpool, and, you know, that's another story. But, yeah, I thought that was it. We completed football at that point, you know. I thought we'd boxed off everything. And, yeah. That one will always sting. It will. That will always sting because, God almighty, in our system, he would have been pretty goddamn impressive. You know, with Soboslai, McAllister, Gravenberch, Elliott, lots of other talent by Chetchich, of course. Yeah, that one will always sting. We've already gone through the Florian Plettenberg tweet, Farhan, so you're late. Already done it, mate. Already spoke about it, and I don't believe 90% of what he's written. Why I don't believe it is not that I don't think there's a world where Liverpool aren't interested in Mbappe. Of course, that's absolutely possible. But one, Liverpool are hardly going to be briefing Florian Plettenberg that, yeah, we're in for Mbappe, yeah, because we're going to move Mo on. Because if we admit we're in for Mbappe, we're probably also admitting that we're going to be selling Mo. So that's why I don't believe it. Also, I also don't know where the fuck he's getting the relaxed the PSG about it financially, as contractually they're secured. No, you're not. You're going to lose him for nothing after paying a shitload of money for him. So I don't see how they're relaxed in any way, shape or form. And Real Madrid, I agree on that it's his most likely destination, yeah. Even Caicedo will think about it in the future. Look, I read an interview where Caicedo said that Enzo had phoned him, and the idea of playing with a World Cup winner at Chelsea with, you know, a young squad was appealing to him. And I get it. I do get it. And if Chelsea were, you know, in for Caicedo and sold him a vision for a long time, I get it. I do. I understand why maybe, you know, he wanted to be loyal to a club he'd given his word to. But still doesn't stop it stinging, because God, it would have been good. Madrid don't want them. You see, that's what they say publicly, Rian. And I hope you're right, mate, because, you know, the idea of him going to Madrid is frightening. But again, it's all, there's a lot of huge moves potentially coming next summer. Like, huge. Like, you could see a summer where Mbappe moves. Salah could move. I'm sure there will be another surprise or two. Wirtz could move. What's his name from Napoli? Victor Osimhen could move. It could be a very, very, very big summer. And you'll have United, of course, with Sir Jim Radcliffe, who will want to make a statement. And there was an article actually last night on Back Pages that said that they want to buy British under Jim Radcliffe. They want to get the best upcoming young British talent and make Manchester United have a very British identity, I guess, on the football pitch. So, but one thing we know about buying British in a football perspective is you usually have to pay a premium for that because of the homegrown aspect and I guess the small pool of British players at the very, very top level. So it'll be interesting to see how they go about that process, because we've seen Chelsea do a similar thing. They've gone out and buy a lot of young English talent and a lot of young European talent and brought them into Stamford Bridge. We've seen Liverpool, of course, go out and bring in young players from around Europe. And now we'll have the whole battle for that young Gray kid from Leeds United as well, who's going to be looking like he's moving on in the summer. So it is going to be blockbuster from a transfer perspective in the summer market. Am I a fan of Patrick Keelty? Yes, I am. I think it was a great choice for Patrick Keelty to do the Late Late Show. I think Patrick Keelty's a brilliant presenter. I do. Really, really. He's a very endearing fella. I like Patrick Keelty a lot. I'd never had the pleasure of meeting the man, but as soon as I heard his name with the Late Late Show, and for those of you who aren't know, this is the biggest late night talk show here in Ireland. I thought it was a good fit. Who would you buy from Leverkusen? Wirtz. Yeah, I'd buy Florian Wirtz, especially with the potential Salah situation. But I think he ends up at Bayern Munich, in all honesty. That's the most likely thing that I've read anyway, is that if Florian Wirtz does move from Leverkusen, Bayern is the most likely destination. Who's better, Darwin or Osimhen? Me, Darwin. Genuinely. Like, there's a lot to admire about both of them. Both of them will work their asses off for the team. Both of them very unselfish footballers. Both of them, as I said, there's just a lot to like about both of them. But I love our boy. I love Darwin. I don't want to swap him for anybody. And I genuinely wouldn't swap him for Osimhen. But I also wouldn't have said no to having a 4-4-2 system with Osimhen and Darwin up top. Imagine that. Yeah, look, I think both of them would be a manager's dream to work with. Victor Osimhen strikes me as a very hard-working footballer who's not afraid to put himself about, knows where the goal is, looks like a proper leader. So yeah, two very, very, very good players. Okay. Oscar, I don't know why you've got this weird sense of entitlement, mate. And you've been asked by people, not me, people in the chat multiple times to stop with the spamming. You basically flat out just said you're not going to stop until you're responded to. Well, there's your response. And your response is that you've been banned. So, you know, hopefully the next time you listen to the people in the chat who are trying to advise you. So, yeah. I was about to read that comment, Jared. I was about to read that Osimhen's a real Klopp type player. Do you know Rory Jennings said Darwin is a Origi replacement? Look, I don't want to go in on other content creators. I've no interest in doing it. With the exception of one little rat who will get his. But that's just said for a reaction. We all know it. And I don't like that people do that in our industry. Say stupid stuff that, yeah, will get picked up on, but not in the right sense. I mean, I look at it this way. What do you think of yourself if you're putting out those very obviously bullshit opinions that we all know isn't true? So I don't get it, but it's also effective in a way. And all I can say about Rory is I've met him on a couple of occasions. I've always found him to be a nice, decent fella. In the couple of times I've met him and spoke with him. But it's not my style of content, is all I'd say. Do you think Wolves can pick up anything at Arsenal? We did our preview show earlier on, and we were humming and hawing about that game. You know, eventually we settled on thinking Arsenal will edge it out by a goal or so. But Wolves are, I think Wolves are better than a lot of people give them credit for, and we've all seen the decisions that have gone against them this season. But yeah, I think Arsenal will just about get over the line there. Look, there's a huge games coming up in the next few weeks in the Premier League. Like this weekend alone, you've got Newcastle against United. We've got the City game against Spurs. Some belter games coming up. And for our perspective, for Liverpool, of course, we've got United this month, Arsenal this month, West Ham in the League Cup this month. I think we need to go for Palhinha. He's going to Bayern Munich. At least if everybody keeps their word, he's going to Bayern Munich. You know, they nearly got it done in the summer. They ran out of time because Fulham didn't get a replacement. Hence why Fulham are now looking to bring in Andre. So once Fulham get that replacement, you'll see João Palhinha go to Fulham. Or to Bayern. What do you think will happen to Tyler Morton at the end of the season? Look, I don't mean this in a bad way, because Tyler Morton has something about him. You know, he's a talent. He is. He's a very well-rounded player as well. But I don't get the feeling we're going to see his long-term future at Liverpool. I do think he will make it to the Premier League again. And I think he'll do a good job for somebody. And I think he's doing well. And he's been very liked everywhere he's gone out on loan as well. But I don't know. I just can't see it. Not now with the midfield. Not what we're doing. I just don't. I don't see this as being a situation where he comes back and establishes himself. I think he'll do well, and get a move off that. I think. Excuse me. But I don't want to be disrespectful at all to Tyler Morton, because really, I just think he's a bit unlucky about, you know, the time of his career coinciding with where we are now with a rebuild of midfield and all. Bellegarde from Wolves is a good DM. What do you think? I don't know anything about him, honestly, Queen Nadra. Yeah, can't say I've watched much of him. Just being honest, you know. Yeah, don't know anything about him. Sorry. I can't see Morton playing ahead of Bajcetic. Yeah, that's kind of it as well, Ishmael. I think you're spot on there, mate. You know, he's a good player, Tyler Morton. He is, and I think he'll get a move and he'll do well. But I'd put him in the category of mid-table to lower-end Premier League, or very, very top-end Championship. And look, that sounds like almost like an insult, but God almighty, we're still talking about rare air up there, you know? If you're getting to play at that level of football, you're clearly a very good footballer. And Tyler Morton is. But as you've said, do you see him getting in past Bajcetic? No, probably not. Should Trent keep number 66? I love that question. I love that question. Because I'm very much of the mindset of no. But did I end that poll? I swear I didn't end that poll, by the way. Sorry, I'm a bit confused by that one. But the poll ended and we said, should Liverpool loan Bradley in January? 68% of you said yes and the rest said no. Where was I going there? Oh, Trent number 66. I'm old school and I'd say no. But in the modern day of branding and, you know, that being a number now that Trent is related with and I guess is iconic, the best thing is probably to keep it at number 66. I'm just old school. I don't like these higher numbers. I mean, look, I expect that in the chat everybody's agreeing that he should keep 66. That's probably the right answer, in all honesty. But, you know, I'm just old school. Yeah, I get it. Should McAllister stay as a 6 or play like an 8? He's probably... I think he should play as like an 8, as you said, or a 10. But I think we're far more likely to see him get more minutes for us in the 6. Especially with how well like, if Ryan Gravenberch hadn't started life as well as he has, I think I'd maybe have a bigger push to try and get Alexis McAllister further forward. But with how good Gravenberch has been, with how good Szoboszlai is, I think it's the only real position there that you can say is maybe up for grabs for him. What number would you give Trent if the team was 1 to 11? Well, I'm old school. I think number 2 should be the right back. So for me, numbers go like this in football. 1 keeper, 2 right back, 3 left back, 4 and 5 centre backs. 6 defensive midfield position, 7 right winger, 11 left winger, 8 midfield, 9 centre forward, 10 playmaker. That's the way I think of football numbers. But I guess it depends how you think of a system. What's your thoughts on Kimmich? I don't think Liverpool will go for Kimmich at the age he's at now. You know, we haven't brought in Endo. And I don't know. The truth is, I don't know. I read an article on Joshua Kimmich last week that said that he's very much the likes of, well, how do I say this? Consistency, the right feeling around the club, a family environment. There's certain things that are important to Joshua Kimmich. And wherever his next move may be, if indeed he does leave Bayern, those are things that will come into play with his decision making. Where's the iconic OG Liverpool chair currently? There, mate. You can't see behind me, but like, let me throw something at it and you'll hear it. That was it. I don't know if you heard that, but that was the chair. So yeah, it's right beside me. Look, my friends, it is Friday night and I'm going to go spend some time with the missus and relax for a bit and try and heal the voice up. So tomorrow, this is what we've got coming up. We're going to be live on Top of the League. Adam will be live from 7 o'clock. I'm going to join him at 7:30. And we're going to do a watch along of Newcastle against Manchester United. I will most likely be on Anfield Agenda at about 6 o'clock if you'd like to join me here. Make sure you've got your notifications on. Do drop a like on the stream. Most importantly, please do hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. But again, massive thank you to all of you guys. Let me just wait 1 second till I report this account who thinks he's funny and thinks we won't be able to track down his IP address, you sad little fuck. Yeah, let me just report his dumbass. Okay, he's reported, and now we remove him. Yeah, you're not funny, mate. You know, you're trying to talk about the deaths of Liverpool fans not being enough. If you really feel that and you want to be that brave, show us your name. Let us know. If you think that way and you want to make that something you're proud of, then show us who you are. But like everyone else, mate, you're a coward and you hype behind a fake name because you haven't got the balls to say that, because you don't mean that, and you're just trying to be edgy, but you're not. You're an idiot. So, yeah, be better. Right, folks, much love. I will talk to you tomorrow. Much love. Take care. Bye.